Hello and welcome to The Globe. My name is Pearl Shongwe.
All right, and we welcome her back. She was away for a day, and we felt it. My name is Umkhonto, and thank you for joining us to our top story here at home.
The Umkhonto Sizwe Military Veterans Association has distanced itself from an apology by its spokesperson Carl Niehaus to Zulu King Goodwill Zwelithini. Niehaus attended a land imbizo called by the King in KwaZulu Natal earlier this week.
Now at the imbizo, he apologized to the monarch on behalf of the ANC. This after recommendations by former President Kgalema Motlanthe's high-level panel to scrap the Ingonyama Trust, which holds the King's land.
The Veterans Association has since apologized to Luthuli House.
It has been a war of words when Niehaus apologized for recommendations that sought to expropriate the land that is administered by the Ingonyama Trust.
As a member of the African National Congress, I must express my concern. And in fact, I must express also my apology that one of the former presidents of the ANC and of South Africa, former President Kgalema Motlanthe, had launched an attack on traditional leaders which was entirely unjustified.
The ANC's head of elections, Kgalema, weighed in. He said only the ANC leadership could apologize, suggesting that Niehaus was not mandated to speak on the issue.
Carl Niehaus has got no such a mandate to represent the ANC. He's an MKMVA spokesperson. The ANC will speak for itself. Carl Niehaus was erupted there like a volcano on his own. And who mandated him, he must account to the people who mandated him. The ANC never mandated him to go and speak on its behalf at the imbizo yesterday and apologize. If there is any apology, the ANC leadership will process that.
Then a letter of apology from MKMVA to the ANC. The letter noted that Niehaus was not mandated to address the imbizo as the MKMVA had not been invited. On Friday night, the president met King Goodwill Zwelithini.
Well, I had a wonderful meeting with His Majesty the King Zwelithini, and we discussed a whole range of issues. He and I have a wonderful, warm relationship, and when the issue of the Ingonyama Trust came up, I felt the need to go and meet him, and he agreed to the meeting. We had a good meeting, and we discussed the issue. And I assured him that the government, nor the ANC, has any intention whatsoever to take the land from the Ingonyama Trust. I reaffirmed that that land is under the control of Ingonyama Trust as per legislation, and in the end it is a land that he has custody of on behalf of the people in KZN. So that was clarified, and I gave him the assurance that we have no intention whatsoever to even touch that land or take it away or grab it from Ingonyama Trust. We also agreed that we would meet again to have fuller and deeper discussions around it at a later stage. So it was a very, very good, satisfactory meeting, and Chief Mangasutu Buthelezi was also in the meeting, so we had really good discussions, all of us. He was pleased to hear me say that the recommendations of the panel are the recommendations of the panel, and the government and indeed the ANC has no intention to take away the land from the Ingonyama Trust. So that went a long way to be satisfactory, and we are going to have further discussions. So we will meet again and discuss matters around this, and obviously there's a whole community that he needs to be discussing with, but we'll leave it there. But we had a very, very good meeting.
Sophie Mkwena, SABC News, Johannesburg.
All right, now joining us in studio is Carl Niehaus, is the spokesperson of the MKMVA. Carl, thank you very much for making time to talk to us.
Thank you.
Who sent you to go to attend the imbizo Yamazulu?
No one. I went there as a subject of KwaZulu Natal. I live in KwaZulu Natal. And the speech that I gave, I made it very clear because it was an invitation for participants in the imbizo to come forward. And when I got up, I said, yes, I'm a member of the ANC, I'm a member of MKMVA, but I'm here in my personal capacity as a member of the African National Congress. So I'm happy that the Umkhonto Sizwe Military Veterans Association issued a letter of clarification.
It's a letter of apology.
No, wait. It is a letter, not a letter of disassociation. It is a letter of clarification. And then it says in the last paragraph, we apologize for any kind of misunderstanding that there was. And I discussed the content of that letter the night before with the president of MKMVA, Comrade Kgalema Patsu.
Yes.
I also discussed it with the acting secretary general of Umkhonto Sizwe Military Veterans Association. We agreed how it would be done. And you would have seen that I also, the next day, issued a statement which said clearly, I went there in my personal capacity as an individual member of the African National Congress. And I do not apologize for having gone there. And I think it was very important that I stood up when it was clear to me that there was a misunderstanding about the position of the African National Congress with regards to the Ingonyama Trust. The misunderstanding was that the ANC supposedly had taken a position against the Ingonyama Trust. A very negative perception was developing at the imbizo.
But what?
Now, I had, as a member of the African National Congress, in my understanding, a duty to then come forward and to say, but this is not correct. The ANC had not taken a position on the Ingonyama Trust. And let me just finish.
Yeah.
The ANC Constitution, Section 5 says every African National Congress member has the responsibility to defend the integrity of the ANC. And that is exactly what I did.
There were leaders of the ANC there. Why did you choose to speak? And obviously, you weren't seated where you were seated because you were just an ordinary person who is a resident in KwaZulu Natal. Otherwise, you would have been clad in ipeshu and all the other things there. But you were seated where you were seated because you are a leading figure within a structure of the ANC, which is the MKMVA. And therefore, there were leaders.
No, you jumped to all kinds of assumptions.
Okay.
First of all,
clarifying.
I was not sitting on the stage.
Yes.
I was part of the crowd.
Yeah.
I came forward on the invitation that there was from the Master of Ceremonies for people to come forward to speak. You're quite correct. There were two leaders of the ANC on the stage.
Yes.
The one was the National Executive Member and Minister of Police, Mr. Bheki Cele. The second was the Premier of KwaZulu Natal, Mr. Willis Mkhunu.
Yes.
I had a long discussion with Mr. Mkhunu afterwards, and he said to me, thank you for having clarified this matter. I could not stand up and just go there as an invitee from the group because I was sitting there as a VIP. And then he said to me, you said exactly what I had said in the KwaZulu Natal legislature.
Why
in the presence, can I just say, he said, in the presence of King Zwelithini, I apologized to him for the words of former President Kgalema Motlanthe, who called some of the traditional leaders tin pot dictators. And yesterday I spoke to him at the house of former President Jacob Zuma, where we were paying our respects and condolences with the passing away of former President Zuma's son. And he came to me and he said, Comrade Carl, thank you for what you've done. You have defended the African National Congress with dignity.
If you're being thanked by Mkhulua and other people, why is Mbalula then saying what he said about you?
Well, I think it's a question you should ask my dear friend, Comrade Fikile Mbalula, because he seemed to get himself a little bit excited too easily He's a bit of a volatile character. He's a talented member of the ANC and of the leadership collective.
Yeah.
I actually laughed with him this morning at the funeral. I said to him, "You're volatile, my friend. You allow yourself to be misled by selective quotations from the media, by leading questions, and then you give a response." The simple thing that Comrade Mbalula should have done was to have listened to my whole speech, and he would have seen I didn't come there and didn't claim to be a representative of the African National Congress sent by the ANC, nor by MKMVA. You know, I was a member of the African National Congress's National Executive for many years. I was also the national spokesperson of the ANC. I do not aspire to those positions anymore, but what I do know is that every African National Congress member has a right to defend the ANC. And when I was the spokesperson, it was never the case that I was the only one who was allowed to speak as if I'm a demigod. Other ANC members, other ANC leaders, other ANC individuals had the right to speak out, especially when they were clarifying policy, and that is exactly what I was doing.
Do you consider that you have put the ANC into disrepute in this instance?
Not at all. In fact, I clarified exactly what the position with regards to the Ingonyama Trust is. And that is exactly, if you listen to the interview that Mbalula did, what he did. The words that I used, the words that he used were exactly the same.
Did you apologize to the king?
I apologized to the king for what Comrade Kgalema Motlanthe did when he called traditional leaders tin-pot dictators.
But what makes you think that he was referring to King Goodwill Zwelithini when he said some?
No, I didn't say that he was referring to any particular. But because he used that collective word, it could be applicable to anyone, and therefore it was an insult to traditional leaders in general.
So you
but listen to what Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of the ANC, did today.
Yes.
He went and met with King Zwelithini.
Correct.
And he said exactly what I had said, what Comrade Willis Mkhunu had said, what Comrade Ace Magashula, the Secretary General of the ANC, had said. We've got no position on the Ingonyama Trust, and in fact, we've got no intention to touch the land that are in the hands of traditional leaders.
You see, what happened yesterday at the imbizo, obviously got social media buzz and all that, and people started questioning your character, saying, in fact, Carl loves attention. Carl loves getting into trouble. We are not surprised that he has done what he has done. And, you know, they went back. They even questioned, basically, your credentials as an MK cadre. Maybe you need to clarify that. When did you go to exile? Who was your commander? And all that.
I am an MK cadre. I worked inside the country. I was recruited outside the country. I received training outside the country. So those are the facts. Whether I want attention or not, you know, the kind of attention I received was from the apartheid regime. It led to me being arrested. It led to me being tortured. It led to me losing more than 60% of my hearing because of the severe torture that I received. It led to me sitting in prison for 10 years. I have dedicated a whole 40 years of my life, since I was 19, to the ANC. I'm not an attention seeker. I'm a liberation struggle soldier. And I will stand up and speak my mind and state the case for the African National Congress anywhere and everywhere. I love this movement. It is my movement. I will work for it till my dying day. I've always said the ANC is not just a political party for me. It is my family.
Now, well, I mean, those are words that other people have said in the past, you know, and they are elsewhere today. But
I can assure you, you're not going to find me elsewhere. And those people who moved do not find me elsewhere. I'm here. I'm a loyal and committed member of the ANC in good standing, and that is how I will die.
Now, you see, and I want to just take advantage of your presence here, because I mean, I've been reading a lot of things about you, and, you know, some are very unsavory. Did you defraud Derek Hanekom and Andres Nell, claiming your mother has died and therefore they had to give you monies and things like that? I just want you to clarify that.
I'm not going to go into old allegations of more than 10 years ago.
Okay.
Those issues have been dealt with. The one issue that is important is that people go around, because of the manner in which the media deals with some of these things and pass judgment on you, even when you haven't been charged in a court. And they said that I'm a fraudster. I am not a fraudster.
Well, but Lamini said you must be forgiven. Forgiven for what if you're not a fraudster?
Wait. Forgiven for the mistakes that I have made in my life, which I acknowledge that I went into financial trouble. She was right to say I should have been forgiven. Many people go into financial trouble. Many people end up with debt. They get forgiven. But because you're a public figure and because you take certain political positions, you get crucified for it. Now, let me just make this point to you. I have sacrificed my whole life to the ANC.
Correct.
I have done what I've done. The mistakes I've made is behind me. I'm still standing here as a full, loyal, and in good standing member of the African National Congress. And I would appreciate when I get called for an interview on issues around land, which is specifically how you defined it, that we stick to that topic rather than that it become an attack on the character of the person. When you want to say to me, I will interview you about 10 years ago, then I'll make my decision, okay, I want to do this interview or not. When I'm brought in to come and talk about the issues of land, and I asked when I was called, is this the area, is this the parameters within which the discussion will take place? I was told that is the case.
Okay.
So I'm here to talk about land, which is the foundation for the future of South Africa, and which is a decision that the African National Congress's 54th National Conference took, that there must be expropriation of land without compensation. A resolution, by the way, which was not only taken by the African National Congress, but also by the 5th Conference of Umkhonto Sizwe Military Veterans Association.
Correct. No, I understand that. Hence I said to you that all this, the land statements, brought back all this things that I was trying to get.
How does a land statement, which is exactly 100% correct in terms of the African National Congress's policy, and at the same time clarify quite correctly, as I've pointed out to you, as it was proved also today by the words of our own President Cyril Ramaphosa, how does that reflect on my character? In fact, what it says is that I understand the policies of the ANC and I'm able to articulate them. And for Kgalema Mbalula is volatile. He should have listened to what I've said rather than what people told him that I was supposedly saying.
Now, you see, the land issue continentally is a very volatile issue, right? And as you know, in Zimbabwe we've had experiences there, and Namibia as well, and all that. And when it comes to South Africa, part of the people who are very concerned and worried about the route which the African National Congress is taking are the Afrikaner people. Yeah. And yes, I have an Afrikaner, as Carl, right? What do you say to the homies? And although, like you're saying, you are a freedom fighter of note, but some of the people, like I'm saying, that are worried about this land reform or redistribution program and the resolution of the ANC are the Afrikaner people.
Well, first of all, I'm not sitting here as a representative of Afrikaners.
Of course.
So I cannot speak on the Afrikaners' behalf.
Correct.
What I can do is tell you what the majority of people in South Africa who belong to the African National Congress, who are members of our party, of our liberation movement, say.
Yeah.
They say that the land has to be returned to the majority of people, black, especially African. And they give you a history. And that history is very important. How white colonialists were moving into South Africa, here in Southern Africa, in a totally unacceptable manner, took the land away from the indigenous people, in fact, stole the land, and then wrote out title deed ownerships for themselves and contracts, which was entirely alien to the local culture and the local customs. So they took the land irregularly. They took the land, if I want to be honest, as thieves. This is the real emotion we need to deal with. The real time bomb that we deal with is not the feelings of a small minority of whites or Afrikaners, but the vast majority of black people who do not have land and still see the white community having 70% and more of the land. And I want to congratulate the Zulu nation for having stood together in the way they did also in the last few weeks on this issue and made their point. The land must be ours. And that land that is already in the hands of the black community should not be the subject, first of all, of the question of expropriation of land without compensation. The real subject, the real issue, is the land that belongs to the white community, and the whites must give that land back because they stole it. Thank you.
So whites stole the land?
Yes, they did, and you do not pay for stolen goods.
Carl Niehaus, thank you very much for your time.
Pleasure.
Well, that was the spokesperson of MKMVA, Carl Niehaus, joining us live here in studio. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll give you more news. Please don't go away. This is